All right, you guys, welcome back. I hope you had a wonderful week so far. I wanted to come around this time and comment on a video that I've seen pop up and being recommended to me. It's called 13 Reasons You Can't Trust Perfume Influencers and Fragrance YouTubers and all that. So I figured maybe it would be interesting to hear my reaction to it, since I'm one of the guys, or actually the guy behind Jeremy Fragrance, and I used to help him as he became an influencer. However, I am not an influencer, and my intention is never to become one. Instead, I want to be known as the #1 influencer on YouTube for fragrances, who also produces music and all those other things, right? We can all be #1 if we just go into details of our category. Anyway, moving on. By the way, what are you wearing today? I'm not wearing anything right now because I just came out of the shower. This is what I'm going to spritz around here. Boop, boop. Just for the video's sake. And a little bit of a fresh vibe here in the office. And then let's go and listen to this lovely lady. And her name is Claire Smith. So let's go, right? Here you go.
With anything more than a pinch of salt. And what do I... Hello, I'm Claire Smith, welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about why you shouldn't take YouTube reviews for fragrances with anything more than a pinch of salt. And what do I mean by this? Really, it's why you shouldn't trust YouTubers.
Well, that's kind of spicy right there. I'm sure I will disagree with her on certain things, but I'm also sure I'll be agreeing with a lot of what she says. But let's listen in.
Claire Smith. I make videos all about perfume, perfume science, perfume history, perfume psychology, and I also just do some straight perfume reviews and also from perfume tags. So if that kind of
contradicting a little bit, but okay.
Subscribing, and also please like this video. So about a year ago, I made a video all about the advice that I would give myself if I were restarting my perfume collection today. What do I know now that I didn't know back then?
That's a good idea. Let me know in the comments if you want me to make a video like that. I think as we all age, it's interesting to review our old perspectives. The same goes for reading books. If you read a book and then you wait 10 years and your life experience forms a new you, I do recommend sometimes revisiting those books.
And that video was really popular, and I'm going to link it down below because I think a lot of that is really very relevant for what I'm discussing here. But one of the things that I mentioned in that video that I think chimed with a lot of people was the use of affiliate links. But also I talked about the idea of hype being generated on YouTube and how it kind of snowballs. And I think that's also very relevant to what we're talking about in this video. So if you do want to go check that out, I'll leave it linked down below. But
I'll leave also a link to your original video, Claire, in the description below. So if you guys don't want to hear my commentary, feel free to skip it and look down there.
For the purposes of this video, I've got 13 different reasons why you perhaps shouldn't entirely trust what you hear on YouTube about fragrances. And really, I'm going to start off with the less controversial stuff, and then later on, we're going to move on to the tea.
Let's go.
So if you want to hear about my experiences with PR, my experiences with being
Spill the tea.
Brand deals, then please keep watching. So point number 1 is going to be the most uncontroversial of all. And that is really that we all have different tastes in fragrances. And that's really a major reason why you shouldn't trust what other people say about fragrances on YouTube. Because your taste is not their taste. So when you watch someone, you need to be aware of how your taste relates to their taste. And that can be hard because you can be really engaged with someone. You can really like someone's personality. You can really like the way they present their videos. But you have to always remember that relationship between their taste and your taste.
Yes, and let me go into that right away. So I agree. She's right. I don't think that's a big... she said it's the least controversial thing. It's kind of obvious. I think what a lot of people miss, it's not actually about the fragrance. It's about... at least for a lot of people that are watching these videos, it is really about the compliments. It's how do other people react to it. In fact, if you guys want to do some research, Jeremy was one of the first ones to hone in on the compliment factor. He was walking around asking people, how many compliments would you give me, or what's this on a scale from 1 to 10? Is this something that you would recommend to wear for a guy or something like that? Whatever he said. It actually worked so well that I made the suggestion to him that was before he was really known for fragrance, I made the suggestion you should do the compliment factor for cars, for suits, for shoes, and just go off of that. I'm actually glad he didn't. But yeah, moving on. So yes, it's not about yes, everybody has different tastes, but oftentimes people just want to know what smells good in general.
For example, if you watch me, you will know that I have issues with certain aroma chemicals. I really don't like it when there's a lot of ambroxan. I don't like loads of cashmeran. I don't like things where there's loads of IC super. Therefore, I pick those things out because if they're too much, that's all I can smell.
That's fair.
Equally, patchouli is something that I often struggle to remember to mention because for me it's just something in the background of a fragrance. It doesn't bother me. But I know that so many people absolutely hate patchouli, and it's the same with jasmine. So I think it works both ways. Both YouTubers and people watching need to be aware that their taste isn't everybody else's taste.
I think she
Point
needs to give the average viewer a little bit more credit because I think they know that. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Are you blindly trusting somebody's taste or you just want to hear their perspective on things?
two is anybody with a phone can make a YouTube video. And this can be a really double-edged sword because I absolutely love the fact that anybody can make a YouTube video and talk about fragrance, and they're really refreshing to watch. But equally, you can get some people who are incredibly polished, who are incredibly eloquent in what they say, and who are perhaps quite forceful personalities that can really make you feel like your own opinions aren't valid. Especially when you're first starting out in the world of fragrance. I remember when I first started.
I don't know, kind of split on that with her because I feel like a lot of people watch those fragrance videos to get better at understanding the fragrance, and that in turn would build your own awareness of the industry or the scent in general. Like, where else would you learn about it to be more confident in order to build your own opinion? Of course, yeah, if you don't know anything about anything, then you could be intimidated, or you could see it as a opportunity to learn. So I don't know. I wouldn't say that's a reason.
Watching Perfume YouTube in 2019, and I was wanting to join in, and I felt alienated because I realised just the hatred out there for black opium.
Yeah, that's one thing I never understood. The fragrance community does seem to have a little bit of a certain type of passion. I love black opium. I think I recently just recommended it. But again, it's funny how people are very passionate, but also at the same time, Claire and anybody else who feels intimidated, it's part of life. Gotta just grow a little bit more thick skin and you'll be fine.
And at the time, black opium had been my signature fragrance, and I really loved black opium. It made me feel like I liked a bad fragrance, which is
So what?
ridiculous. So I think people just need to take it with a pinch of salt. Just because somebody looks very polished and sounds like they know what they're talking about, it doesn't mean that they've sniffed any more fragrances than you, and it doesn't mean that they have a more valid opinion than you.
Yeah,
Everybody's opinions are valid,
And also
you should
toughen up,
just
Buttercup.
acknowledge that your own opinions are just as good as anybody else's. Point 3 is that
I wouldn't say that your opinions are not necessarily as good as anybody else's, especially if people actually took the time to learn about the hobby and really just collected a lot of fragrances and you're just starting out. To me, I'm still, I'm happy to call myself an influencer because I don't feel like I deserve to be called an influencer, and I never want to be. It's not about that. I'm not even a real what you would consider content creator. I'm a content curator more than anything. But again, putting everything equal, that's kind of ridiculous too, in my opinion. I think there's a lot of people that know a lot more about fragrances, including the influencers. But maybe she'll go back more into that.
Fragrantica exists and we can't ignore that. So
Yeah, why would
Fragrantica
you?
is an amazing resource. It can very quickly tell you a rough note breakdown. It can tell you a score out of 5. If you're thinking about purchasing a fragrance, you can go and read reviews on that fragrance. You can have your perfume wardrobe. But also Fragrantica can be abused by people reviewing fragrances.
Abused?
And I think really the time when I first realised this was when I was quite new to YouTube and I was watching quite an established YouTuber. I think at the time she had about, I don't know, 5,000 or 6,000 subscribers. And she was talking about decadence. But in her hand, she had a bottle of divine decadence. And when she was describing the smell...
Actually, that happened to me too recently. I think the video's still up there, and I had to correct it in the description. I was reviewing this bad boy, but actually I wasn't. So if you want to find that video, it's somewhere here on the channel. But I think I know where she's going with that. Let's see.
Of this fragrance, she actually, to a T, described the fragrance of decadence. And the reason she described decadence is because that bottle had decadence written on it. So Marc Jacobs, when they were making the...
I like the decadence of her saying decadence. Maybe it's the accent. Keep it up.
Flanker Divine Decadence didn't change the bottles. They just reused the same bottles that they used for decadence, but in a clear colourway. And so they do not mention the flanker name Divine Decadence, which is why she thought that fragrance was decadence. And this had really caused her huge problems, and she actually ended up deleting comments from this video. The video is actually still up. I checked just before this video to make sure it was still there. And I've actually seen another YouTuber make a very similar mistake in that they described decadence when they had a bottle of
glad
Divine
she didn't
Decadence.
pick me out.
This is a thing on YouTube. And that just really highlighted to me just how much perhaps people rely on what other people say about fragrances, or perhaps read things on Fragrantica and just regurgitate them for videos.
So here's my take on that, and I want to know what you guys think about it. So like I mentioned earlier, I don't... Yes, there's some content that I created on this channel that was something that I would say is more of original, like the why is Dior Sauvage so damn successful, and some other videos. But recently, I find myself more about curating content and presenting it in my own way. So even though I have all these fragrances here and I smell them, I still go out and do research from different sources, including Fragrantica and some other, whatever pops up for any given fragrance that I talk about, including actually reviews or comments on Fragrantica and somewhere else, like actual user reviews. And essentially, I just take that and I pack it up because I don't care so much about my own opinion. I just want to give you a snapshot or a basically consensus type of video on a certain fragrance based on what I can find online, and then with my few extra takes on it, if you will. And that way, I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible, and just deliver it in my style. And that way you don't have to read all that stuff yourself. You just watch a 2 to 5 minute video, and that's the value right there. So I don't really put much value on my own opinion, really. I do that with other media as well. Like I write some books, for example, on certain topics because I want to have a book on a topic. I don't have it here. Recently I wrote a book about brain traps, biases and all that. And I said, I'm writing a book because I want to learn about a topic, and I'm pulling the sources from the internet. That doesn't make me an expert, but it condenses everything that's out there in a nice package. And that's the actual value, the curation, rather than the creation of that thing. And other than that, everybody already talked about every fragrance under the sun. It's just about seeing how is a fragrance judged by most people, and then taking your conclusions from that. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Let me know if you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Bye.
And I found that really worrying.
Oh, that wasn't a bye just yet. We're not done yet here. Sorry. That was just so automated. Bye. Not bye.
So yeah, just be aware that you have to really make sure that the YouTuber in question is actually smelling the fragrances and not just regurgitating other...
Yeah, not really. You don't have to. I could equally make videos without ever smelling a fragrance on fragrances. It's just about finding the consensus. I do agree, though, when you only have one source, like if you only go to Fragrantica, for example, and you talk about the wrong fragrance, that's a problem, right? So I agree with her on that point for sure.
Other people's thoughts on a fragrance that might not even be the fragrance that they have in front of them.
But yeah,
So point
agreed.
4 is that positive reviews on YouTube tend to do much better than negative reviews.
What?
Why is this? It's because people in general are looking for recommendations for good fragrances to buy
I
or
guess,
to try.
yeah. The
And I
panty
totally
dropper
understand
thing,
that,
yeah.
but also from a YouTuber's point of view, they understand that too. And I think a lot of people perhaps are slightly more positive than they normally would be about a fragrance because they realise that if they are too negative, they won't get as much watch time. And also,
I mean, I can see how people like to watch negative videos on any topic, but I do understand what she means. It probably helps also with affiliate links.
they just won't get as much engagement because people click off the video before they comment. And so I think it's really a bit of a problem because in my world, which is science, straight talking is really valued, and it's something that I've really had to have quite a steep learning curve with on YouTube when talking about fragrance. Because in the world of science, if I think something's wrong, I will just say, I think this is wrong because of this, this, and this. Whereas with Perfume YouTube, you have to tread a bit carefully. So I can
No, you don't. You just do whatever you like and not care about it. I think the right people will find your channel, so you should just keep doing what you're doing in your own style, and you'll be fine. I mean, it's even better if everybody else is just doing something similar and you come across with a straight message. I think people would really value that.
see that it's a difficult and very diplomatic skill to explain
Yeah.
your likes and dislikes. And I guess for me, at least, disliking something is much harder than liking something. I find it much easier to review a fragrance that I
Disliking something is much harder than liking it. That definitely doesn't account for my Yelp reviews in restaurants. I never give a positive review. I only give reviews when I'm pissed. I'm sorry. Guilty.
absolutely love than one I really, really don't like. But I equally think that it's really important to talk about the fragrances that I don't like because if it helps one person out, it's worth it, isn't it?
I agree.
So, point 5 of why you perhaps shouldn't trust everything that perfume YouTubers say is brand collaborations. So, there are many different levels of collaboration with brands, but really the highest level of all is when a brand actually pays a YouTuber to talk about their fragrances and
Yes.
actually looks at the video and okays it before it's released. And those are paid promotions. So they should be marked with paid promotion on the videos.
Absolutely.
But, we'd have to do some amazing detective work to work out whether people were always doing that.
If
or
you really
whether they
care. I mean,
weren't
it's all
always
about
doing
fragrance
that.
in the end.
And really, it's down to the individual YouTuber, not the brand, to check that that is happening. So
Yeah,
I
I
completely
agree.
can see this from a larger YouTuber, perfume influencer point of view, especially for people who are at that stage between where they've sort of given up their day job and they're moving into professional YouTubing. So around between 20k to 50k, that's the kind of level where it's not going to support you with an income that's big enough to live from, but it might support you if you do some brand collaboration.
I don't see the necessarily the negative thing about it as long as it's disclosed. So the way I can only comment on what I do, but I make sure that I mention whenever I have a product that I've been given, or if a company is paying for something or asking for something. I think it's just fair, and you owe it to your audience.
And that's why people do them, because you are going to get so much more money through being paid to make videos than you are going to gain through just watch time and monetization of videos. I guess really that's the big difference in motivations between someone who does YouTube just for fun and someone who's doing it as a career, someone who needs to gain enough money to live from doing it. So
I mean, obviously, well, she included not to trust any YouTubers, but it really depends because this is all product-based YouTubers. Like, if it's a tech channel, that is not independently funded, or a cosmetics channel, fragrance, whatever you come up with, excuse me, they're all kind of dependent on that. I get it. And even with Jeremy, it was to a point. You know what? It's funny because one thing I realized that Jeremy went on the path that he's on now, that started pretty closely to right after we launched the company, Fragrance One. And I believe it's partially because he knew that he was kind of free from sponsorship money. He didn't need it anymore, and so he could be more artistic. And he told me that he wanted to do that. And then you just you don't care about it, and then I wonder if all the other, who else had it now? I think Mr. Fragrant, that was School of Scent. He has his own fragrance, as far as I understand. I don't know exactly the back end business thing. And then Michelle, she also just released a fragrance that I believe was really done by her and the perfumer as well. So we'll see how they change, or if they change at all. But it definitely shows who is working with brands for brands, and then who's independently reviewing, I think. Yeah.
Actually, talking of brand collaborations, I want to spill some of my own tea. So I was offered a brand collaboration with a new scent subscription company who are coming to the UK very shortly. And they offered money for me to make a video about their scent subscription service. And I thought about this for a few days. And then I thought, you know what, I'm just not that kind of person. I don't really want this to turn into something that I get money from. I'm happy with monetization of videos, but I don't want to be paid by brands. I want to maintain my own independent opinion.
Yeah, I had that too. I had some brands, even today, reach out to me. But even just this linking is so annoying. I'm way too lazy for that. And that's why I like those products now that you can tag on YouTube. I think that's great. If I talk about a product, I just punch in the name of it and it populates. So yeah, if you ever guys, if you want to buy one, use one of my links, please. Please.
And I want to do that in future going forward. I just can't see myself ever accepting a paid promotion. But this brand was reaching out to me. So I thought about it for a few days, and then I wrote back to them and said, you know, that's very nice of you. I will make a video for you, but just send me the things that you want me to review. And I would then like you to make a donation direct to a charity. And I specified a particular charity that's very close to my heart, literally, because they saved my life with a heart operation when I was 4. That's Great Ormond Street Hospital in London. So I wanted them to donate to them. And I didn't want to see the money because that has tax implications, and it would mean that the charity might not get as much money, or would be delayed in getting as much money as if the brand just donated directly.
50% off.
And also the brand can then put that against tax, I think, as well. And so they would actually benefit from directly donating rather than paying me first. But that's by the by. Basically, I said that, and I never heard from them again. So yeah, I guess I was just somebody who was coming across as difficult, somebody who was a little bit more complicated than somebody who they could just pay. They clearly didn't want me, but I think really what's better for a brand? An independent review where somebody has given their genuine opinion on something and they actually like it, who hasn't been paid, or something marked with paid promotion that...
Probably something marked with paid promotion, because it's not about even your opinion, and I say that from experience. It's about just getting the word out, and that way you can just have more people get the word out. And ideally, you want to get a good word out. However, I do have to say, influencers really don't move that, or influencers these days, in fragrance at least, they really don't move the needle when it comes to brand sales. It's not. I've worked with some of the biggest not fragrance influencers, actually also style influencers, and I'm not gonna say their names, but they had millions of followers at that time, and we were paying them. Actually, we skipped paying them an upfront fee, because usually you want to have like a upfront fee and then a little bit of a per bottle, and we just agreed, because it was a friend deal. on like a $10 or $20 per bottle. I don't remember what it was, but essentially that guy with millions of subscribers and a really nice video, not salesy or anything, just a nice video. He sold like 25 bottles or something like that. So I think it's much more worth to have that in terms of when a customer is interested in your fragrance brand, they punch it into YouTube and then they see some content and then they look at it rather than, so that's like a second step rather than looking at it and then that being the final piece of information they need in order to pull the trigger and make a purchase. So yeah, it's not that black and white.
They're just saying, wow, this is amazing. Oh, gosh, I'm just astounded by this service. You know, what do people want with advertising? I know which one I prefer if I was a business. So yeah, I'm not going to name them, but watch out in the next few months for loads of reviews on a new UK scent subscription service. So leading on from point 5, point 6 is really a development of that. So affiliate links, that's another reason why you can't trust everything on YouTube. So the use of affiliate links has really expanded, I think, in the last few years.
Fun fact on that, actually, Jeremy didn't even know what an affiliate link is until I had to have him research it and then put his first affiliate link into Amazon. And I know how happy he was after a couple of weeks getting his first Amazon check. It was like €100 or something like that. That was a really good time. This was probably in 2015 or so, or 16, I don't remember.
Really, most YouTubers use them now, even smaller YouTubers, even YouTubers sort of my size, most people use them. I don't use them because I fundamentally disagree.
By the way, some of you might not know that, but if you click on an affiliate link, I believe it's still that way. If you click on somebody's affiliate link, like for example, one that I could or could not put into the description of this video, then you have 24 hours, unless you click on another one in between, up to 24 hours to buy products, and everything you buy will then benefit the person that originally led you to Amazon. It doesn't have to be the product that it's linking to. So if you want to do something good for your favorite YouTuber or creator on any type of platform, even if you are buying something that wasn't recommended to you by anybody, go to that person's social media. If you know that they have links to Amazon, just any link, click that link and then search for your product and buy it, and you'll do them some good without paying anything extra. So that's that.
Disagree with their use. And the reason I fundamentally disagree with it is because I believe those links should make those videos have to have paid promotion stamps on them, because those videos are effectively an advert, because the person making the video is going to be paid more money when someone buys that fragrance than when somebody doesn't buy.
I see her point. I think she's partially right. It probably makes sense. And even when you tag the products now on YouTube, on the platform, and you see them, it says that commission is being earned if you buy the products through the link. I don't know how that relates to why you can't trust fragrance influencers though.
Buy that fragrance, and therefore that is going to entirely bias the review, because it's psychological, isn't it? If you're going to be paid more money if somebody buys that fragrance, you're probably going to talk about it in a more positive manner to try and encourage people to click that link and to be more interested in.
Yes, I get it, but it's the same like when you say if you're a realtor and you have a client, let's say on the buy side, you want them to spend as much money as possible because you're earning more on a percentage, but actually not anymore now in the US. Something just changed there. Let's say you're a seller. You know what I mean? But it's not always in the client's best interest, and that means they may not refer you to their friends. And if they decide to turn around the property, sell it again, then they probably won't pick you because you didn't get them the best possible deal. So yeah, it's very short-sighted. Maybe some people are doing that, but I wouldn't advise them to do it because, again, you will not do your audience a favor, and therefore they won't be in it for the long run.
Purchasing that fragrance. Because otherwise, why would you bother with an affiliate link? I just think in many ways this is almost worse than a paid for brand collaboration where it's declared. Because
Again, if you were smart and you wanted to, as an influencer, if you wanted to make bad reviews, you could just link to the Amazon, to any random product in your video. You don't have to link to the fragrance that you're talking about. You could just say, oh, everybody needs, I don't know, what do you buy? What's typical on batteries, okay? Everybody needs batteries. So let's say this. I downrate a fragrance. Like I say, this is absolute garbage, okay? Don't buy this. But if you want to help this channel, just click the link below and browse on Amazon and buy anything you like. And that way I can continue giving you my unbiased opinion. That will be a solution to that. Let me know what you guys think about it.
the income is not steady. The income increases depending upon how much purchasing occurs through those links. So just to investigate this, I registered on a third-party website that provides affiliate links. So I could see the percentages that were involved in these brand affiliate links. On this website, there were 3 perfume brands that were providing links. And I would say these are the smaller niche brands. And one brand was paying 15%. So their fragrances retail for around £100. And in order to get people to click on the links, they provide a 20% discount through this link.
Okay, by the way, Amazon does not pay that much anymore. I think they were higher than they are. They're now like way below 10%, maybe even 5%.
As well. But after the 20% discount, the YouTuber is provided with 15% payback. So at 15%, a YouTuber will be earning £12 per 50ml bottle purchased through that link. I think that's a lot of money.
Who cares about your opinion if it's a lot of money? It's not like the people that are buying it are paying those £12. You won't get that as an end consumer as an additional discount. And the influencer, if it's a good one, already got you a 20% off deal. So it's a win. It's called a win-win situation. Win-win-win, actually. I don't know, but I'm curious what you think.
For one bottle of perfume, for the YouTuber to get £12. Even if you're a small to medium-sized YouTuber, the amount of money you're going to earn through people clicking on and buying through those links is going to be so much more than the money you're going to gain through people watching your videos. Monetization on videos is really not a lot of money. I would say for maybe 1,000 views, you're looking at something between about £4 and about £8. It's not a lot of money. It does vary throughout the year, but roughly I would say that's sort of typical. And that example is only a 50ml bottle of perfume, and it's only one bottle. I also looked at a couple of other brands on this affiliate website, and they were paying around 10%. I didn't look at how much discount they were giving, but even though they were paying a lower percentage, those fragrances were actually of a higher value. So the YouTuber will probably still get just as much money from those links.
I don't know why this is a bad thing. To be honest with you, why wouldn't you want to? It's again, if I as the end consumer can get it cheaper somewhere else, even after the 20% discount, by all means go there and get it. Absolutely. But if this price is already the cheapest price on the market, who cares if the brand is paying somebody to promote it on top of that, if that's what I want to buy? I don't understand the logic.
See the large amounts of money involved, and when you get up to people of sizes of 50,000 subscribers, 100,000 subscribers, 150,000 subscribers, you can imagine the amount of money these people are making through these affiliate links and why they make them for different countries. They don't want to miss out on any affiliate link income that they can possibly gain, and they want to make it as easy as possible for people to purchase those fragrances through those.
Well, Claire, I don't understand why you have a problem with that. As long, like I said, everything else checks out. The opinion is valid. They're not lying on the review. There's no cheaper option online. Why is it a problem that people make money with it? I don't get it. Just that's for creators in general.
those links. So sometimes those affiliate links can be the best deal for the customer, but I would say generally on the brands that I looked at as part of that affiliate link scheme, the customer could get exactly the same deal by just clicking directly on the website.
Well, if they can get exactly the same deal, then I think it would even make more sense to click on the affiliate link, because then you're helping out somebody who's taken the time to make a video. And again, this is not my full-time income or anything by far, but I don't see what's the problem with that. However, if there's a better deal, that's up to the consumer to really figure it out. And it's so easy to find out these days. You literally just punch it into Google, and if you can't do that, then I can't help you either.
And signing up to newsletters or whatever, or if it was their first purchase, they could get exactly the same deal that was being offered through the affiliate links. So yeah, as a customer, I would say you've definitely got a choice. You don't have to feed into this affiliate link marketing,
Well, you
and
don't
you can
have to do
completely
anything.
bypass people who are making videos with how you make your purchases.
Sure, but
I
why?
think the other question that this really begs is if a brand can afford to give 15% of the purchase price to the YouTuber and also to take 20% off the purchase price for the person buying the fragrance, then they clearly can afford to take off at least 30% off their actual price of their fragrances. They're really
Yes, but why would they? It's called margins. There's a brand behind it. And I don't understand. This is so funny. This is this entitlement. Like, look, first of all, you don't have to buy anything. All of us will be totally fine if we never have a fragrance again in our life. But it's up to a brand to price them as what they want. And the market will basically tell them if they're right or wrong. So I wouldn't worry about it. But telling a brand what to do with their fragrance is just kind of funny to me. It's like going to Mercedes and saying, you know what, I disagree with your pricing. You should make it cheaper, okay? Do you think Mercedes is going to care about that? Come on.
really showing that their fragrances are really overpriced in the first place. So point 7 is leading on from points 5 and 6, and this time I'm talking about collaborations with perfume retailers. So the stores that cover multiple brands. And I'm just going to spill it.
By the way, on the previous point, I do agree, yes, it can feel overpriced. And sometimes I think there is a mismatch also with the brand and where it would be priced. But then again, that's just my opinion, and I made it clear, which is also why I'm selling Fragrance One products at $1 per ml on my website, link below. But after this plug, I'm just saying that it's still up to the brand themselves. And if they have a brand that works with their customers for whatever reason, maybe price is one of the differentiating factor that they want to include there. Same goes with all kinds of luxury brands, okay? And niche fragrances are luxury products. So it's really up to the brand to figure it out. And if they're happy with their results, then that's what they'll be going with, you know? But yeah, I mean, it's not like Ferraris or Porsches are made out of gold, and that's why they're more expensive. There's a limited supply to a certain amount of demand, and there's a brand exclusivity. You're not going to go there and say, well, you know what, the parts of your car are maybe only 10% more worth than Toyota or whatever. I mean, I'm exaggerating right now, but you get what I mean, right? You have such a big margin in your product, you should come down with the price. Like, I would never be so arrogant. I'm sorry, Claire, I like you, but this seems really arrogant. I would never be so arrogant and tell a brand, hey, you know what, you should lower your prices. Just don't buy it. Vote with your dollars. You got the power as a consumer.
A bit of my own tea here because I was offered a collaboration with a major US online perfume retailer, and I was a bit taken aback by this because they don't sell to the UK. So how can I, as someone based in the UK, endorse a retailer that I have no experience of? I was a bit curious.
The way you can do it, if you want to, you do online research, and then you decide whether or not you have tried the products that they're offering, and then see if they can help you earn an affiliate commission for sales in the United States or wherever they are. That's how you can do it.
About this, and I was curious about how they'd selected me, so I kind of played along for a bit. So I replied and said, "Oh, that's very nice of you. I'm a little bit interested to know why you think I'm a good person, because I live in the UK and I can't buy from you. So what makes you think that I'm a good person?"
Because they don't care if you can buy from them, they care if you can sell for them. That's why.
To recommend your services. And they replied, "Oh, that doesn't matter that you've never tried us. You can have a storefront with us and you can earn 5% commission on all of your sales from
That's
your
kinda
storefront."
cheap.
And I thought to myself, I'm afraid it does matter to me, because how can I recommend something I've never tried? I mean, I'd never want to earn affiliate link money from that anyway, but I just found that really shocking that a brand was just willing to offer a collaboration with someone that literally they knew nothing about, that they clearly hadn't watched the videos of, that they really had only seen the subscriber numbers and seen a customer.
I mean, these days, there's a trend for micro, small influencers, kind of like my channel, for brands even to prefer over the bigger influencers, and I see why. It has multiple reasons actually, and again, there's usually not. They don't have the time to really like engage with your content as much. They'll probably just do a very basic overview, unless you mention every time that you're only, I don't know, working with UK brands or you're in the UK. They're not going to cross-check. Their intern that's probably reaching out to you is not going to be like some investigative research or something like that to see if it matches. The important thing for them is that your videos are being watched in the United States and that you have the possibility to earn money with them by selling their products for them. However, 5% is really low, so probably wouldn't be happy with that either.
Customer base that they can potentially, plug here, but didn't actually care that I couldn't actually say that I'd tried their services and enjoyed them. Couldn't say that they were a good brand. I mean, how disingenuous would that be if I were recommending buying through that?
Well, yes, if it's about the credibility of the platform, that's why I said I agree with you, Claire. You're right. Whatever you attach your name to, you should validate that. So there should be a way to research that. Maybe talk to other influencers that you know, or whatever other means you think makes sense to figure out the quality of their service. Absolutely, because you don't want to be attached to something that might rip people off in the end. So yeah, I agree with that in general.
Retailer, when I could never do that myself. I found that astounding. Anyway, so this particular retailer, looking into what they sell, I was looking on their website and I was checking out what this 5% would actually pay. So say, for example, I recommended Parfums de Marly de Lina, which, people do, don't they? So $310 that retails for on their website. So if I were to recommend that and one person bought it, they would pay me £15. I think that's a lot of money. So yeah, I can see why people just say yes to these things, because a lot of money is involved. And if you do have a lot of subscribers, you can earn so much money through this. But I
feel also the market is so overcrowded and most people won't get any sales other than the top, I don't know, 5 to 10 influencers in any given niche. That's just the nature of the internet. So don't worry about it.
I think there is a huge problem here, and this is going to just cause even more bias, isn't it? So this is going to bias you towards only talking about fragrances that are available in those retail stores, because why would you bother to talk about fragrances that aren't there, that aren't going to earn you money?
That is true. I agree with you. However, again, if you're in the business of making content and let's say 10 people have a affiliate storefront on that specific website that you're talking about, they'll all be talking about the same content, about the same fragrances. So essentially that is something that will balance itself out. You will have more competition for the same fragrances from people that earn the same type of commissions, and you will basically be less relevant as a YouTube channel, right? So this is something that's going to work itself out. I wouldn't be too worried about it.
So you're always going to be wanting to drop affiliate links in your description box to earn you more money, to talk more positively about those fragrances. And also, it's going to bias the breadth of fragrances that are talked about on YouTube, isn't it? Because if people only talk about those fragrance brands that are available through those websites, then that's going to mean that other brands that aren't on those websites are going to be pushed out of YouTube.
No, not necessarily. Again, I think I get what you're saying, Claire, but you differentiate yourself also by talking about different things than everybody else. And I think at some point that algorithm will pick up your video as well, even if it's not so much talked about, like a small beginner brand. I think it's not that big of a deal.
So that's going to mean that smaller indie brands.
By the way, it's up to the brand, up to every brand to get the word out about their own product. It's not something that we have to be sorry about. It's business. It's brutal, and it's about the survival of the fittest, and that is the same in the jungle as in the social media landscape that we're in these days.
Brands really have no chance. Smaller niche brands really have no chance.
They do have,
and that's just
chance.
going to further the growth of larger niche brands, which can afford to be stocked in those places because they have bigger distribution networks. Point 8 is gifted fragrances. So YouTubers are often offered things by brands for free in return for their honest opinions.
Yeah, so this seems like all about brand collaboration. It's pretty much the same across the board. Let me see.
On fragrances.
If there's something
or
new.
A video about that fragrance. Or sometimes brands are really, really nice and say there is no obligation with this fragrance. And of course, as a YouTuber, if somebody gives you something for free, you are going to talk about it, because why wouldn't you? You want probably somebody to send you something again. And if you like it, you're probably going to talk about it. But ultimately, if you don't like it, you're probably still going to talk about it. But you might talk about it a little bit more positively, because you might want to not cut that avenue off in future. And I think this is a bit...
True. I believe so. But, I mean, I was given this one here. I haven't even opened it yet. This was a solid fragrance. Let me open it right now while I talk to you. So I literally just told them I can make a video about it. That doesn't really fit into what I do, but that's a nice package here. Oh, I like that click. It's almost like a fidget toy. Let's see. I don't mind talking bad about it. It's really, if you want to make money with YouTube, you have to figure out a way to monetize outside of brand sponsorship. But it's a good start. It's a good start. I always disclose when you get something for free.
A bit of a problem. So, of course, I enjoy getting PR. I've only had one experience. In fact, I'm in the middle of the second experience of PR in my YouTubing. It's a lovely feeling when somebody really feels like you're worth gifting something to. And I don't see any problem with that. I think...
Well, you also have to realize that it's all about relationships, and you need to make it easy for everybody to participate in a relationship. So don't try to be unnecessarily complicated. That's not just to you, Claire. That's just general advice from my own experience, okay?
As long as you thoroughly review them and say your opinion on them, that's all fine. But the problems come when people's income depends or changes depending upon their access to PR. So what do I mean by that? I mean by, if your whole reason for being on YouTube is to gain money and gain subscribers from it, then your income is going to be affected by whether somebody gives you PR or not. Because if you...
Well, thank God that's not my main motivation. Instead, I just want to have the most before you buy videos on the internet about fragrances. I told Jeremy to make 1,000 when I originally suggested it to him. He just kind of stopped. Fun fact on that, I edited 99% of all his before you buy videos, because that was my concept. and I wanted him to be always the number one on any search result on Google for any specific fragrance. So let's see how far I can take it.
You don't get that PR, you might choose to then buy that fragrance to be able to review it. So this means that there's a bit of bias there, doesn't it? It means that somebody is perhaps going to be a little bit kinder about a fragrance because they are going to want to stay on that PR list, to stay in the good books of that brand. And actually there's a really interesting video on this by Ash from Extra Gent Sense. So he's got another channel called Gent Sense.
Shots fired!
And he talks about the PR list that he's been removed from. And I'm going to link his video down below because I found it very revealing. So in this video, he talks about the reasons and the brands that have removed him. So the reasons are things like he didn't make a dedicated review video. He only featured it in a top 10 list. That's a big no-no for some brands because they want a dedicated review. Other brands took him off PR lists because he talked about companies being sister brands when they didn't want people to know about that. That offended them. He's also been taken off PR lists because he didn't do things in a timely manner. So a lot of PR is very time sensitive. Brands generally want people to talk about things all at once to create some hype. And if you don't talk about things in a timely manner, that could mean that that brand has essentially wasted a bottle of perfume on you. And so they're not going to like that. I think really the big problem for me with gifted fragrances on YouTube is sometimes I think they're not entirely declared, or they're declared in a very covert way sometimes. Of course, some people are absolutely perfect about how they disclose PR, and they will put it in the description box, they will put it in the video, they will put it on the screen, they will mention it. But other people will hide it in the description box, or they will only mention it in the middle of a video. So if you only watch the beginning, you won't know that that was PR, or they will just sort of talk about it in a
what we
way
discussed
that
before.
doesn't actually
Let's see
say
what else
it's
she
PR,
says.
but they all YouTubers just need to
Again, I mean, she mentioned that before. I think it's good to have transparency and be honest with your audience.
get better at it, basically. But I do think people tend to hide PR. And I think it'd be better if people were just more overt about it and more open about it. So point 9 about why you shouldn't perhaps listen to YouTubers quite so much as you might do is that they promote overconsumption. So it's really, you know, you can see it in the collection.
Especially in the fragrance industry. I mean, before Jeremy, I never had more than one fragrance or at a time until it ran out. Maybe two. I didn't even think about using a fragrance for different situations. I always thought of it like a signature fragrance that you wear, that you either wear or you don't wear it. You know, that was the
videos when people have hundreds and hundreds of fragrances and when they look hardly touched. And also you can see it in Ash's video on his relationship with PR. He says in that video that he feels like he doesn't want to feature travel sizes on his channel, and he's asked brands not to send him travel sizes. He'd rather have a full bottle, and that's created problems with brands, understandably, because probably they don't want to send him in a full bottle every time.
No, that's not it. Oftentimes the price is the same whether you have a 10 ml or 50 or 100, except if there's like crazy packaging that's different. The price is the same. Brands don't care.
But also they want him to review the fragrances, and
they just have an allotted stock usually that is being sent out, and those are usually the smaller sizes, if any.
Won't review fragrances if he's just got a travel size. And in some ways I get it, because I've had people even say to me, you know, when I'm doing sampling videos, they say, oh, thank you for putting the bottle up on the screen, because the colour, you know, a red bottle can smell red sometimes. Also, I think it helps with brand recognition, and if people have experience of previous samples of that brand, then they can kind of imagine a DNA.
Yeah, brands, step up your game. Just send full bottles. We all know how much they cost to make or how little they cost to make, so don't make a bigger deal out of it than it has to be.
Perhaps. Also, it helps with in-store recognition, so that also feeds into further consumption, doesn't it? And I think really that admission by Ash that he doesn't want to feature travel sizes on his channel is really something that I think shows the interrelationship between the influencer and their audience and how that feeds into that consumeristic behavior. I think this is really a paradox on YouTube. I think that most of my audience, when I talk to them, say that they don't want to see overconsumption on YouTube. I think it's a really
Less
popular
is
thing
more.
to see people reducing collections of fragrances. People enjoy hauls for
That's partially why I started the BYB series, because I'm just selling my fragrance collection. So I agree with that. Less is more.
sure, but I think people also enjoy seeing people get down to just the fragrances that they want in their lives. And, you know,
I agree.
people even say to me sometimes, this is a very responsible way of sampling fragrances. You're not buying everything under the sun, and you have got actual samples as opposed to buying travel sprays or full bottles to try them out. And that is truly something that's quite unusual on YouTube, because people do buy full bottles of things. You know, blind buying is a thing. I've blind bought in the past. It definitely is a thing on YouTube, and it's not unusual to see people try out fragrances by buying an entire bottle. Point 10 about why you can't trust YouTubers is that they may have very different motivations for buying a fragrance as opposed to the general consumer. So what I mean by that is that the general consumer will buy a fragrance simply because they like it or they think they will like it, whereas a YouTuber may simply buy it because it's a new release and they want to review the fragrance, and they want to be one of the first people on YouTube to do that because they'll get more views, they'll get more monetization money.
I think people are generally watching those videos for different reasons. Maybe they already have a fragrance that was recommended by their friend and they just want to do a little bit more research on that specific fragrance, and then it doesn't matter when the fragrance was released. Maybe they're collectors and they want to find out what's been releasing new to buy it and then tell their friends about it. Maybe they want to know which fragrance gets the most compliments. We talked about that before. And so there are different motivations why people are watching the content. What is yours?
And that means that they will perhaps also gain subscribers from being the first person to review that as well. And so there are different motivations behind buying those fragrances. Also, if a fragrance is very new, it can be a bit of a financial balancing act for review channels. So what they will do is they will buy the fragrance very, very quickly. If they don't completely fall in love with that fragrance, they will flip that fragrance very, very quickly. So they will resell it. Also in the US.
So why is that? Claire, I don't understand you. You're saying that you're complaining that people don't talk bad about a fragrance, and then they find a fragrance that they don't like. Maybe they'll talk about it, and then they're trying to get rid of it. Do you want them to eat the cost instead? Like, what? I don't understand. Which way? Do you want to have a cake and eat it too?
Yes, I've even seen channels say that they've taken fragrances back that they've not enjoyed, that they've actually made review videos on, which I find completely shocking as someone who lives somewhere where you can't return fragrances.
Well, then I
So
suggest
yeah,
you
you
move
just
to
got to
America.
bear in mind that different people
I get
on
it, though.
YouTube can have different reasons for buying fragrances to the normal
That's true.
consumer. And that kind of relationship with fragrances can also mean that people on YouTube have a very different budget to the general consumer. So people on YouTube may be gifted fragrances, which can make their budgets look like they're bigger, but also they can do this flipping thing with the new fragrances, and they can very quickly buy and resell a number of times over an entire year. So that
But so can
actually
everybody
their fragrance
else.
collection will
I mean, everybody can buy and sell fragrances. I don't know what the issue is. All that happens in the end, and I feel like I'm dunking on Claire the whole time. I don't mean to at all. I just like to take on at least a contrarian take sometimes. So Claire, this is not against you. I think it's great that you make a video like that. Just want to make that clear. But everybody can buy something, and then if they don't like it, they can sell it again. That's what a lot of those Facebook groups are for. It's really easy these days to sell fragrances that you want to get rid of, you know? So I don't know why that's a problem.
turn over much quicker than someone who isn't on YouTube. So, point 11 is that YouTubers change their mind. And of course, people are allowed to change their minds. But I think on YouTube, it's amplified because you see people raving about certain fragrances for a little bit. And then they just kind of drop them and they say that they don't like them anymore, or they quietly declutter them and you never see them again. That's really the worst thing, when they quietly declutter them, they just disappear without any kind of explanation. Yeah, I think it's maybe just all that stuff from brands, but it's also YouTubers just looking for new content all the time, isn't it?
Yeah.
And also,
To me, I talk about one fragrance at a time in a BYB video, and that's pretty much it, unless I bring it up for another reason. But maybe if people are in it for a long time, maybe their sense of smell or their style changes enough to change their preferences as well. That's just the way it is.
maybe the perceived pressure from the audience to always be seeing something new. I think it's a bit of balance, really. I think people do want to see something new, but I also think that it's kind of reassuring for audiences to know that your favourites are your favourites, and that sometimes you don't move on from certain fragrances. It kind of cements in people's minds that what you say is actually what you think, rather than just sort of some fly-by-night opinion. But yeah, of course, everybody's entitled to change their minds. And nowadays, you know, a fragrance wardrobe is entirely normalised. I think in part through social media. It's normal now for people to wear different fragrances every day, and I think that's just more of a thing these days. I think, you know, 20 years ago, people were having a signature scent, finishing one bottle and moving on.
Yeah,
And I
just
don't
like
think
I
that's the
said.
case
Damn,
nowadays.
I'm old.
But
That
yeah,
was 20 years ago.
changing fragrance tastes is definitely something that you
Oh,
need to be
man.
aware of on YouTube. Point 12 is that it can be really difficult for some people to say that they dislike a fragrance. And I'm not talking
think you
about
mentioned it
fragrances
already.
that they've been gifted through PR here. I'm talking about influencer fragrances. And the reason for this is because the people who make influencer fragrances are generally larger YouTubers. And if you're someone who doesn't like their fragrance and say that, it can be perceived by...
I don't know if she's seen some of the coverage about Fragrance One. So from my personal experience, I strongly disagree. But, and that's a big but, I do understand what she means, and I think it should be like that actually, specifically with fragrance brands that were built from the ground up by somebody, and especially by their peers, the fragrance influencers. My brother and I, one example, we did the whole thing from the beginning, sourcing everything, and working with a perfumer and a big fragrance house. I think I've seen 2 or 3 others that I believe, have done something similar, and that's all my respect to them. Sometimes you see people that just slap their name on something that was already there, and then you should talk about that, and you should reveal that if you want to add some drama. But yeah, I can see that. I don't see that people protect that one influencer protects another influencer specific. Maybe I'm missing out. I don't know. I'm not so much into that scene actually.
Other people watching that video, it can be perceived by that particular influencer as you having some kind of personal dispute with the person who's the face of that fragrance. Yeah. I say the face because often influencers aren't the perfumer. They are simply the face of the brand.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time they're probably not the perfumer, unless a perfumer turned into an influencer first and then into a perfumer again. But you don't have to be a perfumer. It's like to make a fragrance, right? But there are levels to that, as I just mentioned.
But it can be seen by some people as a personal attack. As a scientist, this is not something that comes into my head really, because when I review a paper, I don't look at the authors and decide what I'm going to say about the paper. I read the paper, decide whether it's good science or not, and then talk about how they can improve it. So with a perfume, I'm just going to sniff the perfume, look at the price point, and say whether I think it's good value or not.
You know what, Claire? I wish you were living in the States. I would have sent you some bottles of Fragrance One day and night, like for women. I got so many of those in my storage. So would really love to know your opinion on that. Yeah.
On whether I would buy it.
And it should be that way. You just should review the product And I know it's difficult with some people, like my brother. Sorry, Claire, for that stop there.
It's not personal to the person who's fronting the brand, especially when they're not even the perfumer. So, yeah, I just think that it's a really hard situation to be in because of the size of the larger influencers. So, when you're a smaller YouTube channel, your followers are generally going to be people who follow the larger channel. It's just maths, isn't it? So it does put you in a very vulnerable position, and it can be hard to just say,
Don't make it hard. Just be the underdog. People love underdogs. Disagree sometimes, but do it classy, okay?
don't like this. And it can make you feel scared because people can come after you, basically. So I think it's just a really tricky situation. And I think that situation is magnified many folds by the situation that surrounds the whole Navitus brand. So there you will see other influencers being sent free bottles of Navitus fragrances when they have a Navitus fragrance themselves out, and they review the fragrance as if they're completely independent, which of course they're not independent, are they? If they have a fragrance with Navitus, they're not going to say that another Navitus fragrance isn't.
What's the whole Navitus talk? I'm not familiar with that. Again, I should probably do so. I mean, I didn't know she was going to mention it. But I assume it's a brand that makes fragrance influencer fragrances. Like kind of like cookie cutter type of stuff. Let me know in the comments if I'm right.
Isn't very good and you shouldn't buy it. That's just not a thing.
Let's speed that up a little bit here.
It's just really something that's a whole ethical minefield, this, for me. I think really when the general consumer is watching this, I think an influencer sending another influencer their fragrance is just a complete red flag. That's something that really does cause...
It's just like a brand sending a fragrance to an influencer. You just make sure that it's transparent and everybody knows about it. You know, that's a gift.
Issues because the whole way that YouTube operates is through a supportive community arena. So really, as a YouTuber, you want other YouTubers to watch your videos because those are the people initially who will like, comment and subscribe on your channel and who will help you to gain traction for those videos. So it's a whole very symbiotic relationship with other people on YouTube.
Is that bad? I'm not sure if she's saying this is a bad thing. Live together in harmony. I don't know.
And that whole influencer thing just completely throws that out because there's pressure on you to positively review fragrances from people who might have contact with you.
Just make sure you mention it.
Point 13 is that not every channel is what it seems on YouTube. If you go to Social Blade, you can check people's statistics. And let me just say that I don't think everybody is entirely genuine. If you see somebody gain 3,000 subscribers when they haven't had a video out over the course of 1 week in a peak that stands out in, 2 years of the Social Blade profile, you know that there's something going on there. And it's something that I see, not a lot, but I have checked quite a few people's profiles and you can spot them. There's also people who seem to get a very steady rate of subscriptions, and that's also a red flag because the algorithm on YouTube is very variable. I have a very variable amount of subscribers per week, every week, and it can be very, very low or it can be very, very high, and it's totally unpredictable to me. And also, I think if you go to Instagram, you'll see a similar thing. There are a lot of people who aren't quite so genuine there, who have probably more followers than are probably interested in fragrance in the entire world. And, that's also a red flag, isn't it?
Oh, this shows, by the way, that by the year 2029, I'll have 192,000 subscribers. Woo! This is funny. Yeah, I should check that. That's interesting. Anyway, I love my 12,500 subs. Very fun so far. Make sure you subscribe to this. 90% of you guys are actually not even subscribed. Please, for Social Blade.
So, yeah, I think, these people must be quite empty inside if they're paying for this.
Yeah, why would you buy subscribers?
Also,
that's the dumbest
thing
ever.
Why are they doing this? Are they doing this just for...
This actually stifles your growth significantly on any platform.
Or PR? I guess they are, because brands, as we've seen earlier on in this video, they just see the numbers. They don't check anything out. They just see the numbers.
No, I mean, especially with bigger collaborations, they do it. I remember there was a brand that was actually doing an analysis of what it would mean for their brand to work with Jeremy. They do way more. The bigger brands with the big collaborations, they do a lot of research. But yeah, smaller brands that talk about, yeah, you want to have a storefront, they have nothing to lose really. Um, they have only something to gain. But bigger brands that have a name, they have something to lose. So they do a lot of research.
And then offer you stuff. And that's really sad, isn't it, that people are doing that for that? I think that's really upsetting. So I know this video has been a really long one, but thank you so much if you've made it this far. If you have enjoyed it, then please press the like button, and please also consider subscribing if you haven't done already. And please let me know what you think about.
Yes, so that was fun. Claire, good job. Who everybody, please go to Claire, say hi from Sense with Benefits. Let's help her out. Let's have her channel grow. I think she's a lovely lady. And Claire, I think you did great. Sorry, I felt like sometimes I disagreed with you a lot, but I think you did well. And I hope to see more of you. And yeah, now I have to bring my wife to the airport. If you are still here, write airport in the comments below and your favorite fragrance for the airport, even if you have one. But I want to see who's still watching. Love you guys. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.